If the serial killer you survived as a child escaped prison and came hunting for you, what would you do? Trauma has a way of wreaking havoc through the rest of our lives, changing our behavior and destroying those around us if we don't deal with it first. Christina was the sole survivor of a brutal killer who preyed on little girls. She grew up with all the best intentions of living a great life despite it, or perhaps because of her survivor's guilt. But sometimes old demons die hard, or in this case, they break out of jail just down the road from where you're living, forcing you to confront and defeat them if you hope to survive. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the kid killer in The Girl Who Got Away. In the pitch black and dead of night, a man and his son travel home down an isolated forest road they've traveled many times before. Up ahead, something white flashes in the sweep of their headlights. It's a woman in a bloody nightgown carrying a kitchen knife. Just smile and wave, boys. That is none of our business. The son argues that they need to help her, but Dad's instincts are in a semi-working order. He promises to call the police when they reach the next town, but only seconds later, another figure darts into view. This time, Pops pulls the truck over. I get it. What was just a weird story to share with friends now looks like a crime in progress. This must be in the before times, as in pre-cell phone days. He pulls a flashlight from the glove compartment and warns his son not to open the door for anyone except him. He grabs a tire iron from the truck and ventures into the pitch black forest. Dad, you want to leave your kid with the weapon? No? Okay. After he's gone, the little girl appears by the truck, banging and screaming for the boy to let her in, which he does. She screams that they have to leave now. She is coming. The woman with the knife circles the car and shatters the window. Pop arrives just in the nick of time. In the aftermath, the girl tells police her name is Christina, and she's returned to some semblance of a normal life. 20 years later, Christina's living her New England dreams, teaching second graders. She's changed her last name, is planning a move to Florida for better work opportunities, and she's in the middle of adopting a troubled tween named Lisa. The social worker asks her why she's willing to take on such a handful, and Christina explains that Lisa acts out because she doesn't think she deserves to be happy. She blames herself for everything that happens and for how others treat her. Christina wants to prove to Lisa that she's wrong. Ah, yes, the old work through my own issues via someone else routine. Meanwhile, up in the woods, a tow truck driver arrives at the scene of an accident. A police cruiser has gone off the road and struck a tree, but for some reason, the U.S. Marshal's body isn't in the car, but splayed out on the ground beside it. He tries to call 911, but there's no service, so he tries the police radio instead. Suddenly, the injured cop appears by the car, terrified and mumbling. Someone splatters her brains across the Good Samaritan's face. He looks up to see a woman in an orange prisoner's uniform holding a gun. She fires again, forcing him to crawl through the cruiser to the other side. He tries to make it to his truck, shaking off one shot to the shoulder, but the second shot to his side takes him down for good. As he screams his last Wilhelm, the prisoner, Elizabeth Caulfield, steals his keys and drives away in his truck. The only thing this poor schmuck could have done differently was try to fake her out by slipping out of the car on this side, then dive back inside the car when she came around. There's no telling if the car would start again, and turning it on or trying to move it risks detection, but slipping through to the other side and running into the woods might have saved him. With slightly more time, he could have searched the marshal's body for another gun. Back in town, Officer Jamie Nuosa's phone rings. It's the previous detective, Jerry, who worked on Christina's case. He tells Jamie that Elizabeth Caulfield was a serial murderer of little girls. She killed 4 before Christina got away. Now, it's Caulfield who's gotten away, and she might be looking for Christina. Jamie tells Christina, who almost goes catatonic with concern, as anyone would, but she's so freaked out, she blows off her friends and immediately dumps Lisa back at her previous foster house without telling her why. When she arrives home, Jamie's waiting. He reassures her that the other officers are out scouring the county for Caulfield. It's cold, and there's roadblocks everywhere, but but he'll be outside all night anyway. Christina counters that Caulfield has been obsessed with her since her escape. She doesn't care about getting caught, so long as she can get to Christina first. Great, so invite him in to sit on your couch all night. Ask for his number at least, so you can speed dial him if anything goes wrong. Across town, Caulfield slips into a public bathroom. She shuts off the lights and lays in wait for the woman using the toilet. Real pity this woman has that peripheral blindness going around that can't turn 5 degrees to the left. Caulfield walks right up to her and slams a shard of broken glass from the mirror into the crown of her head. Then she just keeps slashing. In for a penny, in for a pound, I guess. No, but seriously, she's making facial recognition all but impossible. We learn that Caulfield used to be a maternity nurse, looking after babies in the hospital, before she up and vanished one day. 5 years later, she stole Christina from her home. Christina was Caulfield's first victim, but she was the only one left alive and the only one to escape. Every year, Caulfield would go out and kidnap another girl, each a year older than the one before. So, Christina saw some heinous is what I'm saying. In the morning, Christina wakes on her living room floor with dirty feet and fingernails. She's halfway through packing a bug-out bag when she changes her mind. She tells Jamie she's not going to run while Caulfield is out there. He jokes she doesn't need to run, just hide for a while. Exactly, there's no need to run, but hiding and using our house as bait is a great option. If Caulfield's coming here to find us, then the only way we're safe again is with her behind bars or dead. Let's draw the curtains, toss up a couple Home Alone style cardboard cutouts by the windows, and wait for her to come to us so we can finish this quickly and get on with our life. Jamie goes to Jerry for more information about the case. He asks Jamie to keep Christina safe, but caveats that he shouldn't go to the FBI or state police for additional resources he needs. When Jamie asks why, the old guy says the case has traumatized the town, and going to the feds will resurrect that trauma and make this case super public. Are you seriously trying to say no one knows a US Marshal has been killed by an escaped serial killer yet? That is bullshit. He goes a step farther, saying he was embarrassed that the girls were taken while he was in charge, and it'll embarrass his family to have it brought up again. Yeah, he doesn't seem too concerned with Christina's safety as much as his own reputation. What happens when she kills another kid, idiot? Will that be embarrassing for you? Obviously, we're going right to the feds. I mean, like, that's not even hard. With real resources, we can actually bait and capture Caulfield quickly, with minimal risk to Christina or the rest of her town. Who gives a shit if it embarrasses him? This is why people hate the cops. And anyway, in a few minutes, we'll learn the prison escape and dead marshal are already all over the news, and other counties have already mobilized formal searches for Caulfield. Everyone in this town knows their boogeyman is on the loose again. So what is this guy even talking about? At school, Christina starts to have vivid flashes of her time in captivity. Later, when her best friend drops off her kid, reminding Christina she promised to babysit, she goes manic when the kid's a little too good at hide and seek. And at night, while Jamie is staking out her house, he gets the surprise of a lifetime. She's sleepwalking. Once again, she wakes up in the living room with dirty feet, but this time, there's blood under her nails. Jamie doesn't tell her about the incident in the morning. Instead, he reveals that they found the truck Caulfield stole 40 miles in the opposite direction from Christina's house. It reassures her for about half a second until she goes to check on her ex-boyfriend, who hasn't been responding to her calls. She finds him and another girl butchered in bed. So Caulfield knows how to cover her tracks. Maybe. Christina's convinced it must have been Caulfield who killed him, until Jamie points out that Caulfield didn't even know who Tom was. Jamie reasons that the only way Caulfield could have had anything to do with Tom's death is if someone was helping her. Why exactly? Because the truck was found 40 miles south? What if she stole a new car? It'd take her all of 40 minutes to drive back here. Christina goes to check on Lisa and finds her skipping school with an older boy. Even though she came to tell Lisa the truth about why she abandoned her back to foster care, she spends the whole time alienating Lisa more until Lisa leaves the car for good. Go after her. Tell her who you are. There's never going to be a picture-perfect moment to tell her you were were held captive for 5 years by a psycho killer, and you don't need perfect anyway. You need to warn her to be careful. No one knows if Caulfield killed your ex. No one knows if she's stalking your every move, picking off pieces of your life with a jagged edge of broken mirror. So, assume she is and tell Lisa the truth. Jamie goes back to the hospital where Caulfield once worked. He pries for information and learns she was fired for having an affair with a married police officer named Jerry. Jamie tries calling Jerry, but his wife won't let Jamie speak to him. So either go over and talk to him in person or call the feds. That is a huge conflict of interest if it's true. Meanwhile, Christina goes to confront Lisa's foster parents about Lisa's behavior. We learn they used to be Christina's foster parents too. They saw both girls as nothing more than a monthly paycheck, which is why Christina wants to take Lisa away from them. The father threatens to tell Lisa about Christina's past. Christina doesn't like that. In the middle of the night, he hears noises and goes to investigate. It's just Lisa listening to loud music, or so he thinks, until he returns to bed.
Oh my God.
Lisa hears a noise and investigates, pulling back into the shadows when she sees somebody hacking at her dead foster parents like the fire's dying low. Lisa bolts through the snowy woods, but the attacker follows with the axe. This is definitely the wrong move. It makes sense to leave the house during an attack, but you're not wearing proper winter gear. You don't know where you're going, and it's much simpler and safer to stay here. As I mentioned in my movie sins video for Your Heroes Will Get Lost, unless this killer put a tracking beacon on her, just getting out of her sight before she can see where you went should be all you need to get away from her. Lisa runs from the house immediately, but she should have gone into her bedroom instead and barricaded the door, then called a 911. Then she should have waited for the killer to start trying to axe her way through. If you can hear your attacker at the bedroom door, then you know where they are and what they can see. Then she should have slipped out the window, tossed a scarf onto the lawn near the woods or on the driveway heading for the road, and then ducked under the house crawl space, taking care not to leave footprints. What this should do is leave the killer with too many options to pick from, too many directions Lisa could have gone. At the very least, we'll be able to watch the killer leave the house and see which direction they go before we bolt in the opposite direction. Jamie wakes in his vehicle and spots Christina returning to her yard from the woods. He goes to investigate and finds her sleepwalking, clawing at the frozen ground with her bare hands. This time, when she awakes covered in dirt and blood, she sees footsteps through her home and races outside to yell at Jamie, accusing him of breaking into her house. Once again, he doesn't tell her he caught her sleepwalking. He asks her where she was before midnight. He tells her her foster parents were murdered and that Lisa is missing, and implies that she went to their house and is responsible for their deaths. Christina counters that it was Caulfield again and that she was out looking for Lisa last night. And with that, it feels like any decent detective would know that she's lying. She looks genuinely surprised to learn that her foster parents had been murdered. But why would she be out looking for Lisa if she didn't know until now that she was missing? Jamie accuses her of being Caulfield's favorite, which is why she survived and the other girls didn't, implying she had something in common with Caulfield. A flair for murder, perhaps. Okay, time out, you two. There is a lot of wild accusations being thrown around. Where is any forensic evidence from any of these crime scenes? 4 people have died in 24 hours in a town the size of a shopping mall. Are you telling me this has not jumped the queue at your nearest CSI lab? Jamie, why did you not call an ambulance last night when you caught her clawing at the ground like a rabid badger? Did you notice any blood on her feet? Any weapons lying around? Can you retrace the path through the woods she would have had to have walked from her foster parents' house to her own? A wandering hunter stumbles upon Caulfield's dead body in the woods about the same time Christina arrives back at the old church looking for Lisa. A shadow moves above. Christina finds the boy Lisa was with, long dead, his throat slashed.
Katie.
Well. That Caulfield dead body fake out could have been really cool if it happened like 20 minutes ago. Christina runs, right into a flashback, where we learned that she and another little girl named Katie escaped the farmhouse. But Christina wouldn't leave. She told the other girl to run and tried to hold Caulfield back. It didn't work, and the other little girl was slaughtered. Jamie's called in to investigate the church. Caulfield is gone. He tells Christina he wants to believe that she didn't do all these things, but someone must be helping Caulfield. Christina admits that she's the one who helped Caulfield unintentionally. She reveals that after she was rescued, she began writing to Caulfield in prison every month for the last few years. She's the one who told her about Lisa and her foster parents and her boyfriend. Well, I didn't know I'd have to tell you not to become pen pals with serial killers. I thought that was a no-brainer, but apparently not. Also, you are definitely at least partially responsible for your foster parents. If you had told Jamie about this after Caulfield's escape, he could have rounded everyone up you mentioned and protected them while they searched for her. She says only Caulfield knew what she went through in that house. Yeah, because she caused what she went through in that house. Stockholm Syndrome, man. It gets worse. Jamie tells her they found Lisa. He says she ran off a 60-foot cliff. Wearing what? A noose around her neck? Is that red strangulation mark on her neck invisible from your side of the screen? And then she leans down and puts her necklace in the corpse's hand. And Jamie just lets her. So this is happening in an alternate dimension where evidence protocol doesn't exist, right? Anyway, the person reviewing the video evidence from Christina's time in Caulfield's house reveals that there was a sixth stolen girl, one that was still alive within a week of when Christina escaped.
What the?
Christina gets home after dark and smashes half her house apart, while voices fill her head with noise. The social worker from earlier arrives at this moment to do his house visit. Sound off in the comments if it's normal to do this sort of thing in the middle of the night. He obviously doesn't know Lisa's already dead. Instead, he's there to confront Christina about a lie she told him. Her background check revealed that she assaulted someone with a broom while she was sleepwalking as a teenager. Christina reveals that Lisa is dead and blames him for it. He tosses the accusation back at her, and she reveals her name isn't Christina right before she picks up the axe and hacks the soul out of him. Wait, no, she doesn't. For some reason, we're left to think she did, unless you look closely and realize we have no idea what happened to the social worker. He's there, then gone, and Christina's out digging behind the old Caulfield house. Somehow, Jamie finds her there, digging up the corpse of a long-dead little girl, and doesn't even seem surprised by it. He asks about the sixth girl. Christina reveals that the dead girl is the real Christina, and she is actually Katie Caulfield, Caulfield's biological daughter from her affair with Detective Jerry. Katie tells him that Christina was her best friend. When her mother killed Christina, she decided to run away and take Christina's name to start a new life. Katie swears she did not help her mother kill the pile of bodies stacking up around her, but he doesn't believe her. Yeah, cause you're up to your knees in dirt digging up a grave, Katie. He tells her Caulfield's body was recovered in the woods and had been there for at least 2 days, so Caulfield could not have killed her foster family, Tom, his side piece, and Lisa. He takes Katie into custody for those murders. And here's the most shocking thing I learned while writing this How to Beat. Apparently, all 50 states have laws allowing the collection of DNA evidence from inmates either on death row or with capital or offenses. But there are literally thousands of cases in which the state won't take samples from inmates already in the system, or inmates refuse, forcing the state to seek a court order to get it. But many states just don't bother to take the samples at all, unless pressured to do so. In the cases where someone pursues legal action to take DNA sample by force, the samples are submitted to a national database so that they can potentially be linked to other unsolved crimes. One convicted predator of children in Nebraska was forced to give a genetic sample which tied him to 4 other violent rapes in the state from more than 10 years before. But that's the exception rather than the rule, meaning that despite the corpse they found not being Caulfield, it's possible it could take weeks, if not months, to realize the body out in the forest doesn't actually belong to her. Over at retired Detective Jerry's house, there's a knock at the door. His wife goes to answer it. Jerry hears the shot and decides to investigate on his own instead of calling the cops. He doesn't even bring a gun with him. Caulfield steps inside. Jerry's pregnant daughter Amy arrives at the top of the stairs.
Amy, call the police.
Time to run, Amy. She locks herself in the bedroom and calls Jamie. Then she begins screaming out the window for help instead of barricading the door or trying to climb out onto the roof where she could potentially hide until Jamie can get there. Downstairs, Caulfield dissociates, reminiscing about a party before her life and career were ruined. Jerry's wife interrupts.
Get out of my house!
I mean, I might have gone for a weapon instead of yelling at the person who just blew half her head off. But there's some probable brain damage there, so yeah. Jamie and Katie arrive at the house. He leaves her in the car and ventures inside, following the trail of blood to Jerry's body. Then upstairs, where he finds Amy bleeding out on the bathroom floor.
She took my baby.
He calls it in and presses a bed sheet to the wound to try and stop the bleeding. There's only a little more he can do here. The general first aid for this type of wound would be to help her bend her knees slightly to alleviate pressure if it's not too painful for her, and to wet the sheet slightly before laying it across her abdomen. Don't apply pressure or try to press any exposed organs back into the opening. Keep her on her back and continue talking to her gently and calmly until help arrives. Outside, Katie lets herself out of the car because he just left it unlocked. Dude, you literally just arrested her for 5 murders. What the hell is going on in this town? She walks inside and takes a kitchen knife. Amy's baby cries nearby, and she finds it laying on the dining room table. Caulfield emerges from the shadows and tells her she's done all of this for her, and that she got rid of the quote-unquote trashy girl Katie was going to adopt, and got her this perfect baby instead as a gift.
You gonna say thank you? Say thank you for everything I ever did for you.
Katie finally says thank you so she can get close enough to stab her mother. Caulfield falls, but instead of finishing her off, Katie gloats about being healthier. Yeah, I bet that social worker would agree. You are super healthy now. Katie grabs the baby and steps out into the glare of police lights as backup arrives. Someone grabs her from behind.
You don't get to run this time!
And this is why we double tap. In the aftermath, Katie's checked out physically, and a nice, clueless police officer tells her they're gonna make sure she and her baby are fine. What? Bro, there's literally a dead girl with her belly carved out upstairs, and Jamie's right there. This bish is super messy. In real life, Katie gets some much-needed court-ordered psychiatric help. She doesn't walk away into the sunset with a brand new baby. As this movie leaps off the ledge of sanity into the abyss of nonsense, we can clearly see half a dozen better ways this could have gone. If you ever find yourself the target of a sadistic psychopath, running, hiding, and or laying a trap using yourself as bait are all reasonable ways to end this bizarre, messy cycle of stalking and macabre gift giving that gets other people killed. Jamie's the actual character we're rooting for here, as Katie wasn't ever really in danger to begin with. On his end, he should have talked to the feds immediately, not only because Jerry asked him not to in a really underhanded way, but because they would already be working on this investigation, searching for a super dangerous escaped convict and serial killer. In the same vein, they would have already shown up at Katie's doorstep too. They might not know she's Caulfield's daughter at first, but as the sole survivor, it'd be an obvious checkpoint for them during the investigation. Jamie should have also had installed a simple camera at the back of Katie's house, not on the off chance she was a sleepwalking murderer, but because he told us he has super limited resources. Staking out the front of the house by himself leaves her completely exposed in her backyard. Someone could have easily walked up to the back of the house out of his field of vision, entered, and killed her without him ever even noticing. Installing a camera would have covered her from both directions and revealed she can sleepwalk much earlier. Once we knew about her sleeping disorder, we could take pains to follow her out of the house to see where she went, since we're not actually investigating the other murders and only watching her, which is also a bit unbelievable, but whatever. Tailing her at night while she sleepwalks would eliminate her as a suspect in the other murders, or prevent them entirely, if we see her become violent and stop it in time. Once we knew she wasn't killing people, we would also know that the killer is targeting people Katie knows. We could move her foster parents and Lisa to another location, while we follow the lead about Detective Jerry being Katie's biological father. And once we confirm that Jerry is tied to Caulfield, we can move his wife and daughter as well, saving them too. This whole thing goes downhill because of Katie's erratic behavior and Jamie's reluctance to make proactive calls. Flip the script in those regards, and Caulfield's target list dwindles to Jerry and Katie, both of whom we could have used as bait with the Fed's help to capture Caulfield for good. For those reasons, I think the girl who got away was beaten. Moral of the story: be careful who you associate with.